You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Emerson Whitner, and this is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, September 16th, 2015. NXT was a very enjoyable show this week. It was the first hour of the new set of TV tapings done a Full Sail. The crowd was really into most of the show, and the show just in general was pretty good. We kicked things off with Tyler Breeze coming out for a match with the new Adam Rose. Adam Rose has not only ditched the Exotic Express, he's ditched being fun, he's ditched the music, and he's also ditched long tights. He's now wearing short trunks, and he's wearing eyeglasses for some reason. He announced that the WWE Universe took a big, hot, steaming poop on him, and it drove all the fun out of him. So now he's going to take a big, hot, steaming poop on NXT. Before the match, though, could start, Bull Dempsey came out and announced that he's going to beat Breeze after their fallout last week in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Before Bull could attack him, Tyler cut a promo about how them being partners was a real accident. The other real accident was the day Bull was born. Bull laughed it off. Breeze went on to say that he'd love to beat Bull, but he's in the middle of a match. Bull asked Adam Rose to leave so he could wrestle Tyler. Adam told him no, called him Tubby, and slapped the big Bull. And Bull, of course, responded by attacking Rose. And Adam got sent packing after a full body attack. He went to do the same to Breeze, but Tyler stopped his momentum and left the ring. Afterwards, they announced that next week, in that very ring, Tyler Breeze will wrestle Bull Dempsey. By the way, I should note that now that it's fall, Tyler Breeze has moved his seasonal residence to Cairo, Egypt for this fall. Ty Dillinger versus Danny Burch was next. In case you haven't heard, Ty Dillinger is the perfect 10. He hails from Niagara Falls, Ontario, as opposed to the New York side of Niagara Falls. I believe Ty is supposed to be a heel, but the fans just really enjoyed chanting 10 at him. Corey Graves had me already putting my head through the wall 10 minutes into the show, as him and Byron Saxton argued over what it meant to be the perfect 10, while Burch had Dillinger locked in an over-the-head wrist lock. Dillinger made his comeback and won with a move. It kind of looked like the Eat Defeat, only instead of using the bottom of his foot, he used his knee to hit Burch with. Backstage, Rhino and Baron Corbin stated that they're not worried about Gargano and Ciampa upsetting them, and that they're not looking past Gargano and Ciampa, they're looking through Gargano and Ciampa. I got that one backwards. They're looking through Gargano and Ciampa. There we go, second time's a charm. Asuka is coming next week. I want to point out that she's coming after only 1 week of video previews, while Nia Jax is up to her 4th or 5th straight week of video previews and still hasn't arrived. Apollo Crews defeated my brother's favorite wrestler, Solomon Crow. They started the match with a babyface handshake, and that led to Crews. Then once the bell rang, Crews schooled Crow on the mat. All these CR names are killing me here. Crews schooled Crow on the mat and went for another handshake to his friend, but Crow was offended by this and kicked his hand away. At one point, Crow was sitting on the mat, and Crews lifted him up from a sitting position and hit a suplex. Dang, that boy is strong. You know, I know Crow's not the biggest, burliest guy in the world, but I mean, come on, that takes a good deal of strength there to lift somebody up like that. At one point, Crow was outside the ring. Crews went for a baseball slide, but Crow lifted up the ring apron, catching Crews in it, and pounded away on his back. I then wanted to kill Corey Graves some more, since he would not shut up the entire match about Solomon Crow being on Google. Crews made his comeback and hit a whole bunch of impressive athletic moves before winning with the standing moonsault. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano cut their promo backstage, saying they belong in NXT, and they'll show why later tonight. Dana Brooke and Emma cut their promo with Devin Taylor. They noticed that the champion is back, and a whole bunch of new divas are debuting in NXT, and it's pushing them into the background, and they plan on introducing themselves to the newbies. Sasha Banks arrived at the arena 35 minutes into the show, and we got the NXT debut of Kyle Edwards, who's the former Arda O'Cal, and he was in Stamford updating us on the Dusty Rhodes Classic, where he made the official announcement that the semifinals and finals of the tournament will take place on October 7 at NXT TakeOver. And they went over the bracket, which I'll go over before the end of the show here. And then, and that turned out to be the semi-main event, in a second-round match in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Rhino and Baron Corbin defeated Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Ciampa and Rhino worked wonderfully together. I know that they were both in ROH at the same time, but I don't know if they ever wrestled each other. If they did, I guarantee it was good, just based on their interaction in this match. Gargano at one point gave both men a suicide dive, while Ciampa dove off the top rope onto both of his massive foes. The heels finally caught off Ciampa to get the heat. Speaking of heat, the fans generally like Rhino, but they hate Corbin due to him not being at the same level in the ring as the others on NXT. With that in mind, Corbin wasn't in the ring as much as his partner, but when he was, he still looked pretty good. Gargano got the hot tag and looked really good, like I said, working with Corbin. The heels went for a double-team gore, where Corbin was going to Irish whip Gargano into the gore, but Gargano leaped over Rhino, and Rhino fell outside. Gargano and Corbin did a little bit more, but he fell right into End of Days, and Baron Corbin and Rhino picked up the win. The Vaudevillains cut a promo building up their tournament match this coming weekend in Texas, when in walked Blake Murphy and Alexa, who announced that they are invoking their rematch clause for a tag team championship match right here next week in NXT. Nia Jax is still coming soon. It's only been 4 or 5 weeks, like I said. She does have 2 months to reach Glacier levels of anticipation. Hopefully, just hopefully, she turns out better than Glacier. And finally, the new NXT Women's Champion got to headline the show this week. Bayley came out. It was her first appearance at Full Sail since winning the title back in Brooklyn, and she got a standing ovation. People all over the arena were chanting her name. She at one point stepped inside the barricade and did a lap around the NXT arena, climbing up the bleachers to let everyone slap her on the back and give her a hug. And she gave her the championship to little kids to hold up. And I think the fans were kind of lukewarm at first, but they really picked it up as she kept going around and celebrating. She eventually brought Izzy, who's the little 10-year-old girl who dresses like her, into the ring to do the Bayley entrance. And that actually led to a match. Bayley versus Izzy. No, just kidding. They kept the 10-year-old girl outside the ring. And instead, Bayley took on newcomer Sarah Dobson. And Dobson actually took most of the match. I think the crowd was stunned by this. Plus, Dobson locked on a front face lock that reminded me of Hulk Hogan's front face lock on Richard Belzer that led to Hogan being sued at the point back in '85. But finally, Bayley's better than Richard Belzer as she lifted Dawson up and rammed her into the turnbuckles, breaking the move. Bayley then picked up the win with the Bayley to belly. After the match, Bayley grabbed the mic to cut a promo, which was interrupted by the boss, Sasha Banks, the love of my life. Sasha had a smirk on her face as she sauntered to the ring. I did get a laugh that she just arrived at the building 20 minutes earlier, but in that 20 minutes, she managed to go backstage and get dressed in all of her gear first. Sasha was here to congratulate Bayley and said that all she's heard in weeks is how they stole the show at TakeOver with the best women's match this company's ever seen. The fans chanted Match of the Year at them. What Sasha said, that was great for everyone else but her. She's here not to have good matches, but to be the best. Bayley is good, and at TakeOver she was great, but Bayley is still not Sasha Banks. Bayley's comeback was pretty much limited to accepting a challenge for a rematch that Sasha never technically made. Sasha did say she didn't want a match tonight or next week. She's here to prove a point and send a message. Bayley challenged her to a 2 out of 3 falls match, and the fans, seeing where this was going, started chanting Iron Woman at them, which conveniently enough brought out General Manager William Regal, who announced the match that if you were on Twitter for the last week, you already knew. It at TakeOver in the main event, Bayley defends the Women's Championship in a 30-minute Iron Man match against Sasha Banks. And that was it for the show. The girls actually shook hands. The show ended with Bayley standing in the ring and holding up her strap. And the show went off the air at that point. So in 3 weeks, on October 7th already, is the next TakeOver. So before we dive into, before I finish up actually, I'm going to run down the brackets for the second round. Samoa Joe and Finn Balor versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. Dash and Dawson versus the Vaudevillains. The Hype Bros versus Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. And we already know Rhino and Baron Corbin defeated Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. So the winners of the Hype Bros versus Jason Jordan and Chad Gable go to TakeOver to face Rhino and Baron Corbin. So that's going to be it for this week. While you're listening to me, check out the Wrestling Outsiders podcast on TalkShoe.com or go to my Twitter at TheReallyRealEW. There's plenty of plugs and links there as well. And thank you for listening. Take care, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days. Bye.
You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.